All right, everybody, it's time for some trades. Let's do it. After getting pooped on by Houston, who are somehow 4-1, I've seen enough. And I think we can try to move on from some of our better players. The Jets have tied us atop the division at 2-3. The Bills are somehow 1-4. Micah Parsons got hurt. Caleb Farley got hurt. Malcolm Butler just got traded to the Falcons. Zach Kerr signs with the Cards. Cardinals are going for it. Okay. Let's, before we do anything with the team, let's see what we can do. Let's try to draft pick horde if we can. In terms of manual trading. So, Cam Newton. If there's any value to be found for Cam Newton, we'll go for it. Chicago are apparently interested in quarterbacks, but I don't want to stifle Justin Fields. They could get a backup for Joe Burrow in Cincy. So in terms of options to get rid of Newton, we're looking at the Bengals. I want it to be a quarterback. How's Teddy Bridgewater doing this season? I mean, they already have Teddy Bridgewater stifling Drew Lock. Like, that's just not a fit. The Patriots are apparently interested in the quarterback, but then they just drafted Kyle Trask, so let's not do that. I want it to make sense. Carson Wentz will leave the Colts to their issue there. The Dolphins interested in the QB. We don't want to hold back to his development. Again, the Eagles signed Colin Kaepernick. We're just staying away from that situation. Fitzmagic. I mean, you know, the football team. We could maybe work out a deal with the football team. I don't know how Fitz is doing this season. Stats and... Oh, look at the beard. He has 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. Okay. Yeah, we could maybe look to send them Fitzpatrick. Or send them Cam. Jimmy G. I mean, we could complete the meme and bring back Jimmy Garoppolo. He's got 1 year left or 2 years left on that deal. They have Trey Lance, though. Yeah. Daniel Jones, I don't want to stifle him. He doesn't have a good dev pattern, but I don't think they'd do that. Could trade for Gardner Minshew for the rest of the season. What's his dev pattern? Man, they were flat out disrespectful to Gardner. Oh my God, he's magnificent. We might have to trade for Gardner Minshew. He is a magnificent specimen. God, they nailed his look in this game, didn't they? God damn. Are we bailing on Mac? No, we're trying to get rid of Cam Newton. I mean, I don't want to bail on Mac, but I mean, bringing in Gardner Minshew as our backup quarterback could work. Not that they need Cam Newton, but it would be an improvement to get Cam Newton. They do need a quarterback. We could maybe work out a QB swap in Jacksonville. The Jets, we don't want to stifle Zach Wilson, so we won't do that. The Lions do have Jared Goff. We could give the Lions a better backup QB. Who else is interested in the quarterback? I mean, the Panthers just picked up Sam Darnold. I'm not gonna send. I mean, sending Cam back there would be pretty fun, but we'll let them sit in their mess. Who else is interested in the quarterback here? I mean, the Saints, we know that they picked Jameis. We'll let them sit in that mess. Also, they have the best quarterback in the league, Taysom Hill. The Steelers, I mean, they have Dwayne Haskins. You can sit in that mess as well. Let Big Ben continue to be your QB. Okay, so in my opinion, we have 4 teams. We could send the Bengals a better backup quarterback behind Joe Burrow. In terms of do they have anybody that we'd want? Probably not. At least not that we could use Cam Newton to get. Like, right now, it's best to just hoard draft picks and make trades. So, we could send a better backup quarterback, have Cam Newton be behind Joe Burrow. Let's be honest, when Joe Burrow breaks a leg again because they don't have an offensive line, Cam Newton could be there. We could work out a deal with the football team to give them someone else to work with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Probably just pick up Kyle Allen in the deal, have him be our backup for the rest of the year. So, I mean, since he would be like pure draft picks, Washington, we'd at least get a backup QB. Jacksonville, we'd probably pick up Gardner Minshew and have him be the backup. Or we work out a deal with the Lions and give them Newton to be Goff's backup. That's kind of the question. We could go to Jacksonville to bring in Minshew as the backup. Otherwise, it's pretty much just trading for picks with Detroit, Washington, or Cincy. Thoughts? We got a couple people saying go for Minshew. I mean, Minshew's contract right now, and again, he is just magnificent. He looks like a character out of Blue Mountain State. Has an extra year left on his deal, dirt cheap. He could be the backup. Dasher, thank you for the follow. Let's see if we can work out a deal involving Minshew and still get draft picks back. Obviously, they're not going to accept this, but we're trying to set the barometer. So Newton's a 4-star, Minshew himself is a 3-star. So we can't get a first-rounder back. But Minshew a second and a third? How far off are we? Paul Ray, thank you for the follow as well. That's close. We might be able to get Minshew in a second. It's not bad. Let's go for the fourth. So I'm thinking Minshew, a second, and probably a sixth. We'll try the fifth. Should go through. I think we can pull off getting that second rounder, even if we have to add something. Let's see. Oof. All right, maybe not. Let's just try Minshew in a second. All right, we're going to have to add a little bit, but I don't hate this. I mean, you could argue it's not really worth getting Minshew. Do we want to cost ourselves mid-round picks to get Gardner Minshew as the backup? When in reality, we could just go for pure draft picks and have Stidham be the backup behind Mac Jones. I mean, I like the idea of Minshew, but we're probably giving up too much draft value on the table here. So I don't think we're going to go through with it. It's going to cost us a little bit too much. So then it's down to Detroit. I think it's down to Detroit, the football team, or Cincy. We need to go take a look at the standings to see who our best bet is right now in terms of who is the worst of the options. Texans are tied for the best record in the NFL. What the fuck? It's my only response. So the Bengals are 2-3 on the year. The football team, of course, we'll get to in a moment. The Lions are 0-5. Hello, interesting draft pick. And the football team are 2-3. Detroit's the target. I know they have Jared Goff already. You could say that Detroit... Well, I'm actually going to rule out Detroit. Because I don't think Detroit... I try to keep it somewhat realistic. Detroit at 0-5 would not then trade for Cam Newton to try and get better. Right? But Washington or Cincy at 2-3 would. Cincy wouldn't give up on their rookie QB. So I think the Washington football team is the ideal place. They could say, hey, let's try Cam Newton and see if we could get into the playoffs. So we're going to be sending Cam Newton to Washington. They apparently don't have a ton of interest. But in terms of keeping things realistic, I think it's the best fit. So we will see. Oh, man, but he's not a scheme fit. Damn. So it's the best fit narrative-wise, but it doesn't quite work. Let's bring in. Let's work out a deal with the Bengals then, because you could also say, hey, let's get an actual backup quarterback again in case Joe Burrow breaks his leg. So we'll go for this. That first-round pick is way too valuable. But we'll go second, third, and a fourth. And that's really close. We can add a late draft pick and maybe push it over the edge. I am willing to do that. We have a lot of 2022 seconds, or sevenths, I should say, as it is. All right, I think the fourth is going to be a little bit too much, but we will deal Cam Newton to Cincinnati for a second, third, and a sixth. Done deal. So we have moved on from Stephon Gilmore, and we also officially move on from Cam Newton. We'll be running with Mac Jones and Jarrett Stidham as the 1-2 punch for the rest of the year. Running back wise, we gotta figure some stuff out here. We gotta figure some stuff out to see who's going and who isn't. So in terms of the team, let's look at our salaries and see what we got. So quarterback wise, we know we're good. Running back wise, Michel and James White are both up at the end of the year. Is Sony Michel our guy, is the question. Because running back wise, I think we can easily shop James White. Obviously, I think James White's probably going to be a Patriot for life at this stage, at least from this point on. Sony Michel is a star player, but he's 26 and only an 80. Funny thing is, he is more of an elusive back, even though I think of him as a power back. We do have Damian Harris, who is a power back, who I don't plan on letting go of. I think we could try to look to move on from Sony Michel as well, depending on how much money he's looking for. Tim Tebow stays for life. He stays for life. Wide receiver wise, Aguilar is signed through next season and is very expensive, so might be for the best to move on from Mr. Aguilar. Kendrick Bourne, no real reason to keep him either. Like, he's fine, but he's not great. Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry, I mean, there's just not much value there. I think we try to get them to develop. I mean, obviously, IRL Harry's requested a trade, so maybe we could still move on from him. Olszewski and Slater have no value. Tight end wise, I want to keep Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. I like that 1-2 punch. It is very weird to still see Tim Tebow. And fun fact, because we checked it, Tim Tebow has a higher rating at running back, fullback, wide receiver, and tight end than he does if you change him to a quarterback, because EA is trolling. Trolling. Winovich, I don't really want to move on from. Lawrence Guy, Dietrich Wise. Honestly, Anderson's up there too in terms of expense. Could move on from Godshow because we're not going to bring him back. Let me double check the O-line again really quickly. So again, Isaiah Wynn goes nowhere. Onwenu is signed. Andrews is signed. Mason's signed.
Oh,
Trent Brown is up at the end of the year. And we got to see how big of a deal he wants. Got to check that contract. Winovich can stay. Honestly, Anderson could get dealt if we're going like full teardown. On the right-hand side, I mean, you're talking about Guy or Dietrich Wise could both be moved. It's not as if they're major players here. Defensive tackle, we'll certainly look to move on from Godshow because we do have Barmore. Matt Judon at 29, gonna start to decline sooner rather than later. Could move on from him. And then Donta Hightower's the big one. We have to decide if he's one of our veterans to keep. Bentley's young enough that we might get a breakout moment for him. Kyle Van Noy is signed through next season, but we could move on from him as well and just totally rebuild this team. We move on from Van Noy or Judon, and Josh Uche gets into the lineup full time. Corners. J.C. Jackson wants to get paid. I don't hate the Jones contract there. We have Jason McCourty, who's definitely he's a fill-in player this year, but we could flip him. Williams can stay. And then Bethel, if we can move on from him, because he's just taking up way too much money. What the hell's up with that? Devin McCourty, his deal is up as well. Big decision at 34 if we hold on to him. Adrian Phillips, his contract's up at the end of the year. And again, Davis at 32. Isn't he on yellow menu? New to Madden. NHL had something very similar a couple years ago. And Duggar stays. Jalen Mills could be dealt as well. Yeah, NHL had this color scheme a couple years ago. And honestly, if we wanted to, we could move on from Nick Folk. I don't know how much value we'd get. So quickly then, last thing we have to check before we know for sure who we're moving on from. Jason McCourty would want a dirt cheap contract. I'm good to move on from him. Devin McCourty would want $15 million. $15 million for one extra season. Hightower wants $24 million for two. Again, and then Trent Brown is a great tackle, but $34 million. J.C. Jackson would want a $49 million contract. Like, again, we have plenty of salary cap space, but Devin McCourty, Donta Hightower, Trent Brown, J.C. Jackson, Sony Michel, snatching all that money up in a heartbeat. James White would want $12 million to be a second down back. I'm not going to do that, or a secondary back. Adrian Phillips is definitely gone. James White's probably gone. We might as well get something for him. And Myers, Bentley. Honestly, Jacoby Myers, $13 million total. That's a risk if he doesn't get a breakout moment. He's 24. He's only a 75. We might have to move on from Jacoby Myers as well. I just don't know if it's worth keeping him around for that much money with a normal dev pattern. Yeah, I mean, Jawan Bentley. Jawan Bentley's at least not looking for that much. He's a decent depth option. Tough choices here. Especially, again, if we're going for this full teardown before we play the Cowboys here. So, first and foremost, one deal that we do know is going to happen. We are going to look to move on from James White. Because, again, the re-sign for him would just be too much. Let's look for a team that's interested in running backs. If there happen to be any. He'd be the perfect guy to send to the Bucs if they were interested, just because of how much chemistry he and Brady had. Atlanta for running back so far. We also have San Fran as a team that could work out for us here. Anybody else interested in running backs? Anybody? Otherwise, that really limits us. Right. Okay, there are two teams that are interested in running backs right now. The Falcons and San Francisco. San Francisco, I think they'd stay loyal to Mostert at this stage. They do have Sermon as well to kind of take over, so San Fran doesn't make much sense. We're pretty much just looking at the Falcons. They did draft Hawkins, but he's not that great. They have Mike Davis, but he's not that great. So the argument could be, what the hell, pick up JV and Hawkins in this trade. Send them Sony Michel. Like, that's the big question, is do we want to pay Sony Michel what would equate to a $24 million contract? I mean, right now, the current contract... the total bonus is $5 million, cap hits 3, total salary... I just don't know if we want to pay Sony Michel that much money and commit to him because he's 26 and he's only an 80. I think we move on. I think we try to drop James White and Sony Michel onto Atlanta. We pick up Hawkins. We even pick up Quadri Olison if we wanted to in the deal, if they needed us to. And we see what kind of picks we can get back from Atlanta here in this deal. Honestly, I'm going to play it safe with 2 first-rounders. Just in case. I don't know if they're going to highly value Sony Michel. They are not. So 3-star and a 4-star. They don't really value Hawkins at all, which is interesting. Alright. Looks like we might be able to get this first-round pick out of them, which would be nice. Maybe not. We'd have to give up a little bit to get this first-rounder, which isn't ideal. Because technically 4-star be 4-star, 3-star be 1-star, we should be okay. What if I just take out Hawkins? Like, my only logic to picking him up was just so that they didn't have to cut random players, but they could send people down to the practice squad. Yeah, it doesn't really help the value that much. So, in fairness, then let's pick up Hawkins. Well, actually, we know he's shit, though. We might as well just get a lower draft pick. Why pick up someone who we know just isn't going to develop at all? So, we will look to get draft picks back from Atlanta here. It is not going to be an optimal return, but we'll do what we have to do. I mean, a first-round pick can turn that into anything, even a first-round pick. So I hate to get rid of Sony Michel and James White, but we are if we're saying we're tearing it down, we're tearing it all the way down. Like, we are raising this team. I mean, we might not even be able to add anything else to this first rounder. It gives Atlanta an option for a starting running back in the future. Damn. We're going to have to add a little bit more, too, for a first rounder. That's crazy. We do have a ton of 7ths, though, already. So White, Michelle, and a 7th for a first rounder. Done deal. Sony Michel and James White off to Atlanta. That's rough, but we are just going to go all in on draft picks here and hope for the best over the next couple of seasons as well, not just this year, because obviously we can't have too many first rounders. Big question now, who's interested in wide receivers? Who needs that help at wide out? Cleveland. Cleveland is an early option. Anybody else? Indy. Cleveland, we got Indy. And Detroit, which again, I don't know if Detroit would be looking to give up draft picks right now. They'd be very valuable, though. Very, very valuable, because they are 0-5, the last we knew. All right. Cleveland, Indy, and Detroit is what we're looking at here. So, for the Browns, you're talking about someone like Aguilar probably fitting in pretty well. They wouldn't be looking at Harrier, they wouldn't be looking at Myers, but someone like Aguilar would fit in pretty well. That is weird. I do agree. It's a bit surprising they'd want a bit, a little bit more wide out depth, but willing to go for it. Problem is it glitched? I think, yeah. Is that glitch still in after you complete a trade? It doesn't let you add anybody. It's not letting me add Aguilar, and I don't know why. Is there a limit on trades? Excuse me. I'd like to make another trade, please and thank you. I'm not under the minimum roster size either. It would not be after this trade. There we go. Alright, so I'll have to back out then. So, Aguilar. Obviously, he doesn't have incredible value. We won't be able to get like any of their top players, so we'll just look for draft picks. First rounder might be possible here again. Which, again, doesn't mean we use it this year. Day one patch is 18 gigs. Jesus. All right, so a first rounder for Aguilar is out of the question. Even though it's similar value, apparently, in terms of worth. All right, Cleveland. Well, a second-round pick for Aguilar is possible if we add a little bit more. Which I am willing to do, because, again, we're going to be trading down Belichick style a lot in this upcoming draft. Done deal. Nelson Aguilar, a 6th and a 7th to the Cleveland Browns for a second-round pick. We still have 3 wideouts that we could look at shedding off of this team as we just go for what's going to be pretty simple, pretty close to a full teardown, but also I think we could be competitive next year, depending on how the draft goes and free agency. So the Colts could use another half-decent weapon. I mean, they have Pascal, they have Pittman, but they could use somebody like a Kendrick Bourne. And indeed, it is an outright fire sale right now. So, Kendrick Bourne. Again, looking for draft picks. The Colts are already without their first rounder. And another second round pick may be possible here.
Oh, good for you!
Maybe. It might be less. If we give up a little bit more, we could get it. We already have 3 first round picks, numerous 7s. Let's see if 2 7s goes through. Just not enough. And again, obviously we can't make all of those picks because of the bonus money, so we'll be trading down a lot. Done deal. Kendrick Bourne, a 6th and 7th for a second round pick from the Colts. Good stuff. And the last trade, although we do have to back out here again because of that glitch. The last trade we're looking at or discussing, N'Keal Harry, Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is looking for a decent amount of money that he's not worth unless he has a breakout moment this season. N'Keal Harry's in the same spot. And, of course, the big problem there is IRL, of course. He has looked for a trade. Do the Lions need wideouts, like young wideouts that they could build around? And the answer is yes. I mean, they have Cephas. They have Miles Boykin. But another young wideout or two could fit in pretty well with that Lions team. I think we go for it. Again, Myers is 24, normal dev. N'Keal Harry's 23, normal dev. They have no interest in N'Keal Harry, but they do have some interest in Jacoby Myers. We're still going to try to get this trade done. I don't know what it will net in return. Obviously, it will not net 2 first-round picks. But we're going to see what we can get. And indeed, we're going to have to fill up this team with the free agent options that are out there. I mean, we can't even fetch a second-round pick here. Looks like it'll be a 3rd and a 6th. So we can get a 3rd round pick from Detroit, which is guaranteed to be a high pick in the 3rd round because it's Detroit in their own 5. Or we just hold on to Myers and Harry and hope they develop. 3rd round pick, you never know. You can still get decent players in the 3rd round. So do we bank on trying to get a decent player in the 3rd round who might have a better starting dev than these two? Or we bank on breakout moments for one of those two this year? I think we go for the what if rather than the guarantee. EG, thank you for the follow. I missed one from King Neo Saunders. Hey, it's a fan. Sorry for that, everybody. Thank you for hanging out, though. I do appreciate it. And that's just a bunch of letters. Thank you for that follow, too. I think we go for that 3rd rounder. I think we do it. It's just I don't know how frequent breakout moments show up in Madden 22 right now. And it looks like it's going to even be a 3rd and a 7th. Which is tragic, but we'll go for it. And that might be a glitch because that would put me under the minimum roster size. So let's go ahead, sign some free agents here to fix that issue. I had a feeling that might happen. I had a feeling. How's the new franchise so far? So far, so good. I mean, I wish the patch that they were planning was out now instead of a month from now, but that's okay. So we need a quarterback. We need 2 running backs, and we're going to need some wideouts. Let me check. I should have checked this first. Our practice squad, even though we have had people poached off of this practice squad now all season long. But we'll see who we can bring in. So congratulations to Ramondre Stevenson. Sign him. We will also sign J.J. Taylor for the rest of the year. And a wideout Trey Nixon will be brought in. As we are just, again, going all in on blowing it up because we just weren't going to make it. Okay, so we should be able to pull off Stevenson had a great night. I know, that's why I didn't want to get rid of him. That's why I put him on the practice squad. I can't wait for him to be the next random running back the Patriots pull out of their ass and get a great season out of, and then he goes somewhere else and doesn't do anything. Or maybe he'll be good. The patch is just for the draft. I'm pretty sure the patch adds the new scouting as well, unless they were planning on adding it sooner. I feel like there's some conflicting information in regards to what's being added when, within like the first month after release. All right. So Myers, Harry. Let's work out this deal with Detroit for a 3rd and a 7th. That should go through. And it does. So we cut ties with Myers and Harry. I mean, personally, I don't know. Might be Patriots fan bias. I wouldn't mind seeing someone like Jacoby Myers have a higher depth trait. But we just couldn't bank on that happening. Couldn't do it. The next big player to worry about here now is Trent Brown. He's 28. He wants a big, big contract. I mean, it's a $9 million cap hit if he accepts it. Action, if you search Madden 22 franchise, they released like a deep dive into what it's going to look like. So it does look promising. Kind of NHL-like from the looks of it. $9 million for Trent Brown. How long of a deal? He only wanted 3. I think we can keep Trent Brown. I mean, again, like the guys that we've gotten rid of so far, right? White, Sony Michel, Leroy. Thank you for the 4 months, by the way. Greatly appreciated. I too am glad the football is almost back. Like, trading James White, we might be able to re-sign him. Trading Sony Michel, why give him an investment when we don't think he's going to be a star running back? Aguilar, Bourne to somewhat vets. Getting rid of the wide receivers, we're fine. Trent Brown, though, would help us keep this offensive line solid. And I don't think we can afford to take a hit. So let's see if he's willing to sign what is deemed a fair deal. And he is. Okay, so Trent Brown is back. I'm happy with that. Again, Sony Michel, it would have been probably like $5-6 million a season. It was just, I don't think he's our guy. We still have to make a decision on Devin McCourty, Donta Hightower, J.C. Jackson. So we still have some big decisions coming. Now that we've re-signed Trent, let's actually just go straight to the practice squad and sign everybody that's here because we need players to fill it out. When should we hear anything about NHL 22? I have no idea. I have no idea. I would hope it would be soon. That's not me being like, hey, I'm under NDA and can't say anything. I have no idea. That's franchise, all new updates. So all the new updates, again, aren't in just yet. I do like some of the new updates that we have so far, but franchise mode is not. Franchise mode's like a hybrid between last year's and what they're planning. So I'm still enjoying it, but we don't have a completed product just yet. All right, let's see. Defensive end. Try to get anything for Henry Anderson. If we can, we might as well. And then there's also Lawrence Guy and Dietrich Wise, who aren't that expensive. But if we can get anything for them, we probably should. So, in terms of teams that need help on the defensive end, the right end side, we have the Chicago Bears. The Bears could also use an outside linebacker, so maybe Kyle Van Noy. Cool. The Bengals, we're not giving up anything. We're only looking at defenders now, so the Bengals don't have anything. Left end, Anderson could fit well in Buffalo. Judon could look pretty good in Buffalo as well. Safety for Denver, Jalen Mills could end up there as well. Dietrich Wise or Lawrence Guy. Defensive tackle, Cleveland could get Devon Godchaux. They're looking at linebackers as well, so Matt Judon, Kyle Van Noy. We're also looking at safeties, so maybe McCourty. Man, they're looking at everything. Cleveland could be buying what we're selling. The Bucks looking for help on the defensive line. Cardinals looking for help at defensive tackle, middle linebacker, and a right end. So we have no shortage of teams that we can kind of negotiate with here and figure things out. Chargers are the first team that we could drop a cornerback on. Left end could be a Nick Anderson fit. Left end as well for KC. We need corner linebackers as well. Let's see what else we got. Is Mac the only one safe right now? Yeah. No, I mean, Josh Uche's safe. There's some, we got some keeps. I mean, not many. But we got some players we plan on holding on to. But again, we say the word fire sale. We mean it. Dimmadome. What's happening? Right end as well for Dallas could work. So defensive tackle, right end. Left side linebacker. So Judon maybe to Miami if they're willing to pay the right price because trading within the division's risky. Left end, Philly. We also need maybe send Jalen Mills back. Could do more negotiations with Atlanta. They could be buying what we're selling here. The football team could also be buying what we're selling here. Just had 5 guys for the first time in years. I have never had 5 guys. It's a shame. Damn Maine, I'm telling you, the limitations. Let's see, San Fran. And hey, right when it looked like we might be seeing the country open back up again, LOLOL. Not quite. Let's see, San Fran. The Giants only need offense. Jacksonville could work out. Man, we got a lot of options for the right ends that we're looking to give up here. And the linebackers as well. Jets. Could also be looking. A couple of our options. Everyone's in need of a fucking right end. Jesus. What's going on with that? Alright, we're almost through this process here. Again, we don't just go for our first option. We take our time. We explore. Green Bay could be one of the rare teams we look to move a middle linebacker to. Safety for Carolina. We got some options for Mills. Linebacker there for the Vegas Raiders. Left end for the LA Rams. And a linebacker for the LA Rams. Right outside linebacker. Quarterbacks play differently. I've only seen a few in action, so I can't speak to that 100%. Baltimore for defensive tackle. Left linebacker. A lot of options. I mean, New Orleans is just, hey, for the love of God, we need linebackers. The right end in Seattle. Right side linebacker in Seattle. Steelers need a defensive tackle. We are in season 1 and blowing it the hell up. We're 2-3. We just got absolutely whooped by the Texans and decided that this team just isn't it. So we are doing a tear down of the Pats here, but we're also not going to say, hey, we're going to suck for a few years. We're still going to try to make things happen. Because this division, judging by the sim, could still be for the taking. Okay, so we have our list of targets now. Let's start at safety. Strong safety, at least, because we are talking about moving on from Jalen Mills as soon as he got here. He's just way too expensive for his overall. We are looking at the Panthers, who are apparently not interested. We are looking at the Eagles, who are apparently not interested. And the Broncos, who are apparently not interested. So we're not going to get great money no matter what. As much as that sucks. A depth option. We'd be cutting off Duke Dawson, which isn't the worst thing in the world. The Eagles. Roderick Teamer. And they'd also have, a decent backup for Kenny Vaccaro. And then the Panthers pick Joshua Bledsoe off of our depth chart. So I'll tell you what, give me, or off of our practice squad, you give me Joshua Bledsoe back. I'll give you Jalen Mills. And Maybe give me a draft pick? This isn't going to happen, is it? This is not going to happen. Just take Jalen Mills' contract, basically. I don't want it. We're going to get Bledsoe in a 7th just to get rid of Jalen Mills' contract. All right, Josh Bledsoe, welcome back to the team that drafted you. And Jalen Mills, you have fun in Carolina. It's pretty much what we're looking at. We'll keep Nick Folk on the roster. I don't think we can get much for him. So now comes the big choice of what to do at safety. Do we keep Devin McCourty? And honestly, I don't know what to do with Devin McCourty. As much as that absolutely sucks. Hey, it's 3 o'clock already. Jeez, how'd that happen? So the teams that could be interested in McCourty are quite a few of them. I just think it's probably worth keeping Devin McCourty. I mean, the cap hit might go up a little bit, might go down a little bit, but it's Devin McCourty. But you could also argue, Tookie, he's 34 years old. You know, he's 34. Like, is it worth holding on to Devin McCourty for one season when you might be able to get a high draft pick? And I know the answer to that. I'm aware of the answer. So the teams that are interested in safeties. Cleveland, which could absolutely use an upgrade there. No doubt Cleveland could use a huge upgrade over Trey Boston. Atlanta, Duron Harmon, former Patriot. They could use a little bit of depth. They could use a really good option. The football team could use a big-time upgrade as well. And then the 49ers don't so much need a big upgrade, but they could use a depth option. So instead of McCourty, let's focus on trying to shed Phillips and Davis off of this team. And San Fran could be a good dumping ground. Could be. I'm not really worried about what they do with either of these two because they're just kind of expendable. Let me just see what value we'd be looking at for these guys. 2-star and a 1-star. Woof. It's fine. Get anything we can. Coco, thank you for listening to the podcast, buddy. I do appreciate it, and thank you for stopping in. 4th and a 5th for Adrian Phillips and Cody Davis. Done deal. We send them to San Francisco. So, for Devin McCourty, it's Cleveland, Atlanta, or Washington. And I think, obviously, the best thing we could do if we were to trade McCourty is to send him to Cleveland. Because it would give him a chance to win. I really don't want to get rid of him. I love Devin McCourty, but obviously in the grand scheme of things for this team, the best thing to do is to send him to Cleveland. The question is, do they have a prospect where it would make sense to try and get him? You could argue Kareem Hunt, but 26 years old, I don't think Kareem Hunt is the best option. Jason McCourty is actually on our team because the Dolphins cut him, and I signed him. I just don't want to go for Kareem Hunt, and I don't think Cleveland would trade Nick Chubb. That's just not going to happen. Janovich, we don't need a fullback. We have Tim Tebow. Wideout-wise, there's really nobody to go for. They do have Austin Hooper, David Njoku, but it doesn't make too much sense. We're already good at tight end. Jedrick Wills Jr. Could go for a younger option on the O-line. I mean, it would open up a need for them on the O-line, but I don't really care. Jack Conklin, Wyatt Teller. Of course, Jadeveon Clowney, Malik Jackson. Tommy has a normal depth option. Myles Garrett's obviously not going to happen. Usu Koromoa. Interesting, because Cleveland's also interested in linebackers. Koromoa could be the young player to get. They need a lot of help at linebacker. They are very young in this position and not good. We could potentially work out a blockbuster here. They weren't looking for corners. There is Greedy Williams. Troy Hill has normal dev. And then obviously there's Grant Newsome. And Denzel Ward. The safety, it's Trey Boston, John Johnson. I don't think they'd move, but they do have Ronnie Harrison. Okay, so obviously the the draft picks are going to be low for Cleveland. Schwartz is a stud. He is not. Maybe IRL. There is Jedrick Wills, who's cheap as shit, which is great. Or maybe not, well, financially cheap. Like, the price will be kind of rough. There was Karamoa. And again, Jacob Phillips didn't have a good dev pattern. But they have options in the secondary. Whether it be Ronnie Harrison. I don't know if they'd trade one of their young corners. I feel like they might trade Newsome. They could trade Williams, because you could argue, Like Newsome, they drafted him for a reason. You know? Like, I'm just trying to explore who our best option is. Greedy Williams wouldn't be the worst option to bring in at corner. He wouldn't be. Again, they need an upgrade on Trey Boston. Badly. We're going to move Devin McCourty, and we might even be able to bring him back as a free agent. Delpit actually has decent development as well. Shit, man. What do we need the most? In terms of an O-lineman. I mean, Wynn's 25. David Andrews at center. Shaq Mason. I mean, for the O-line, we're pretty much good. I don't think Wills would necessarily help us out. I mean, he would help us out long term, but there's no one on the O-line I'm, like, desperate to get rid of. I just don't know who the best player to go for is here. AJ, having a good time, man. We gotta figure, though, Wills is 22 and an 81 star development. I think we just get the best players available if they're willing to move on from them. Grandma's 21 and a 73. 24 and a 79 for Harrison. With star dev. Let me just see how interested or how much they value. Okay, well, I didn't expect them to accept that, but we just picked up 3 of Cleveland's better prospects. Wills, Owosu Karamoa, and Harrison. I can't believe they just accepted that. Like, legit, I added that because I'm like, they're totally going to reject that. And then I can see, like, oh, well, they value Karamoa the most, so that affects what draft pick we go for. No, they just accepted it. So Devin McCourty's off to Cleveland. We got 3 prospects back in the deal. I didn't even have a chance to look for Newsome, which I might have done. Cleveland goes all in on improving their defense by getting Devin McCourty. I never expected them to accept that. Not in a million years. And I was hoping certain logic would be a little bit better than it is, and no, trade logic still might be a little bit fucked. I mean, again, it improves them tremendously. They now have John Johnson and Devin McCourty in their secondary. I didn't get a chance to go for Greedy Williams. I might still get him later, because I don't... That was probably my only chance to get Greg Newsome. But it wouldn't have been overly realistic to get Greg Newsome, so, I mean, you could say, well, it wasn't realistic to get who we got there, but that's not my fault. That's the game's fault. So if we go for anyone else off of Cleveland aside from draft picks, it would be Greedy. They're definitely going to be in need of a left tackle now as well. So, interesting. We could look to move an O-lineman back to them, actually. Damn. I mean, we do now have Wills and Wynn. You could argue... I mean, here's the problem. Look at David Andrews' contract, dude. It is just no cap. At all. No cap. And he signed for another couple of years. So David Andrews stays. Krug, thank you for the 6. And Kravitz, thank you for the follow. So I don't think we'd move on from David Andrews. That does leave Shaq Mason, who's 28. I mean, granted, he's not a left tackle, but he's an O-lineman that they could play. If we were to move anybody right now, it would be Shaq Mason. Also, it's showing me left tackles twice instead of right tackles. EA gonna EA? Yeah. Maybe now's the time to move on from Shaq Mason and just keep working with Cleveland, because we have Trent Brown and we just re-signed him. And we can move Trent Brown. Turns out I might not have needed to keep Trent Brown. And Dusty Glove, thank you for the follow too. If I missed any follows, by the way, I apologize. Thank you guys, though. I do appreciate it. God damn, I can't believe that just went through. That's the second trade already tonight where I'm like, how the hell did that go through? I'm gonna guess it's not showing right tackles because we just re-signed Brown. AJ, it's probably not. So if we were gonna move an O-lineman right now, it would have to be Shaq Mason. It would have to be. I think Brown's not showing up because I just re-signed him. So I love Shaq Mason. Technically, we could move him to left tackle. I still think they'll be interested. Not as much. Let me check something. It's not that I want to get rid of Shaq Mason, but again, when a new possibility shows up, you go for it. So it does make sense to move on from Shaq Mason now. We can't move on from Trent Brown since we just re-signed him. And in this way, we don't have any of our young offensive linemen sitting in that left tackle spot this season. So we will see, because, I mean, technically Cleveland would be like, yeah, we'll trade for him and just move him. So, I mean, I don't think we're necessarily cheesing the system here. Let's go back over to Cleveland. Go for Shaq Mason, and now all of a sudden, there they are. They're interested as hell. So, for Cleveland, again, the other guys I was interested in were Williams and Newsome. I do have corners I'm looking to give up. I want to go for Newsome because I think we could get him, but let's not totally screw them over. But the idea of going for Greedy Williams isn't out of the realm of possibility. That said, in terms of corners, we were wondering what to do with J.C. Jackson. We're going to re-sign J.C. I don't think it's worth getting rid of him. We'll pay that man his money. But that leaves Jason McCourty and Justin Bethel. So, if I add Jason McCourty, and I add Justin Bethel, and I say, fuck it, let's have fun, and we add Greg Newsome, I just want to see how bad the trade system is, okay? I want to see if, teams still aren't valuing players enough. If this goes through, Mason, McCourty, Bethel for Williams, Newsome, and a first, I quit. Okay, thank God that didn't go through. They apparently don't value Greg Newsome at all, though? What? Also, they're not interested in Justin Bethel, which is not surprising. What if I take Bethel out? Okay, it didn't really raise the value, so. They don't have interest in the corners that I'm willing to offer, which isn't surprising, but I'm still going to want to dump them onto you. Oh boy. Williams, Newsome, and a third for Mason, McCourty, Bethel. We could get Greg Newsome if we wanted to. I think we could do it. I think we could do it. I think we could do it. Is this enough? This would be the dumbest thing ever for Cleveland to do, but they technically do have Trey Boston who could move over to corner. It's going to be a super low draft pick, but I think we can get it to go through as cheesy as it is. Okay, it won't go through. So unless we take Bethel out and give up a pick, we're not going to get Newsome. I don't know if I even want to get Newsome is the problem. But if this is the one trade where I'm like, I don't really want to take away that player from the team. So I'm gonna take Newsome out. We'll just go for Williams, but I'm going to take Newsome out. We'll also take out Bethel. I'm only gonna go for Williams, and we'll look to get a draft pick as well. I don't want to go for Newsome. That trade would actually fuck them over at corner pretty badly. So let's try to settle for picks here. Especially when a first-round pick in this deal is very much possible. So we can still get a first-round talent. We won't completely dick them over. And we still get Greedy Williams as well, who's going to be a very useful player. And this time I would be willing to throw in a pick to make this deal happen. We'll just go through on its own. Alright. In terms of draft picks, though, I mean, the problem is we don't have too many late picks left. What is happening? I think it glitched out. Yeah, it did. It glitched out. Son of a bitch. All right. Oh yeah, you gotta fix that a little bit. Just a little bit. Not perfect, but then again, I'm surprised it works this well, considering it's an incomplete franchise mode and they only have added half the stuff they wanted to add. But we will still look to get this deal done. So again, go over to corners. We won't take Newsom away from them. That would, completely bone them over. We'll go for that first. And we will give up Shaq Mason after taking Wills away from them in a prior trade. We will give up Jason McCourty. And actually, this way too, both McCourtys end up in Cleveland, which is pretty cool. And let's go for a 7th. How close? I mean, we're going to get this deal to go through. So Shaq Mason and both McCourtys are going to end up in Cleveland. And we're going to also get Greedy Williams and a 1st. Looks like it'll take a 4th rounder to get it done. A blockbuster set of deals with the Cleveland Browns. It's going to take a 3rd. I'm willing to do it. And we'll also look to add in a pick to offset it. Oh my god, it's going to be a 6th. So Mason, McCourty, and a 3rd for a 1st, Greedy Williams, and a 6th. Done deal. So Shaq Mason and both McCourtys are on their way to Cleveland. And that isn't even all the trades that we're planning.